Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sounds of Stadia podcast for episode number 147 of your weekly show where we round up all of the Stadia and video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games or up there in the digital clouds on your podcast preference of choice. You join me this week for a fantastic show talking about a brand new pro game that just dropped this week as a surprise. 100 trials are dropping on Stadia, some new game announcements, Chromecasts rolling out in new parts of the world, some Ubisoft shenanigans, and much, much more. But before we do dive into all that, don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you are kept in the loop with all of the amazing content we bring you here at Helix Cloud Games, like our live streams, our Let's Plays, our first looks, and much, much more. More. This week, you're joining myself, Chris, alongside my ever-present man of many pixels, Mr. Richie. Welcome. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Ready for the weekend. We're recording this on Friday night, so quite happy.
We are recording this on Friday night. Plenty of news to talk about, though. The weather has cooled down somewhat throughout the week in preparation for the insane heat wave that we're apparently due when this show goes live on Monday. So if you're listening to this and it's first thing in the morning, get ready to cook, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Get ready to cook. I expect, Richie, by Wednesday I will be medium to well done, I suspect. How about yourself? You got a busy week lined up ahead?
Yep. I'll be hiding indoors as much as possible.
Hiding indoors. I don't want to hide indoors. Part of me wants to get out and enjoy nature, chill in the garden, but after more than 5 minutes, it's just too warm.
Too warm for that.
Too warm.
This is why I'm very much not a summer person. I like spring. I like autumn. They're comfortable temperatures, and it can still be nice outside. Summer's just painful. It's uncomfortable.
Keep it cool.
It's nice if you're on holiday on a beach with your mates or your family and you've got a nice cold beer and there's a pool there. That's good. But when you're in a sweaty office, not so much.
Sweaty office. It's definitely a different type of heat. I've seen a few of our audience members last week say they were baffled that in the UK we don't actually have aircon pretty much outside of...
Houses.
And our houses are made of like solid brick for the most part, so they're not designed to keep the heat in. They're designed to... they are. They're not designed to... keep cool through the summer months. So yeah, I have not turned my fan off for what feels like 6 days now at this point. I have really, global warming and all that stuff. But anyway, Richie, I feel like this show is becoming a kind of weather temperature check several weeks in a row now.
British.
We are, yeah, we have a very small window to complain and moan about how nice and sunny it is outside. But in the meantime...
we only complain about the weather for 12 months a year.
Yeah,
give us a break.
That's true. But in the meantime, we are cooked up indoors with our fancy lights. And I will point out, brand new microphone, folks. I mentioned it on Twitter. I got myself a nice new RGB blue fancy thing. And the Amazon Prime Day deals, it was always going to get me in some capacity. I'm always a sucker for shopping around and having a little browse. So apologies if the audio levels this week sound a little bit off. Or congratulations if they sound a bit better. I guess that was the goal, to get a new microphone. It's a bit closer to my face now. I have a boom arm, so apologies if I lick the microphone at any point. It is quite close, but we'll get there. We'll get there, folks. We'll get there. I can actually hear myself.
We're not descending to ASMR yet.
Not quite. What's it? What? I don't even have anything to make crunchy noises or salivating noises, whatever your preference. I'm sure it creeps some people out. But what we can talk about, Richie, is games, video games. Lots of video games and all of the cloud news, of course, because that's what you are here, folks. But before we do get into all the news, shout out to all of our Helix heroes out there, the wonderful members who support the channel that extra little bit further. Give myself, Richie, Rob, Tom, and Jeff that extra little bit of encouragement to bring you some amazing content, because we do many shows, and many of our members actually get early access. If you didn't know, you can join the channel from as little as 99 pence, and you get super early access to some of our shows. You get badges, stickers, and perks next to your name in the chat when we go live on live streams. Oh, we did miss a live stream this week. We should point out we had some, I should say, some family things to deal with, so I wasn't able to make the live stream at the final hour, at the 11th hour, annoyingly enough.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with this one. I fell asleep when I got home from work, and I woke up to a text from you being cancelled, saying you couldn't make it. And you know, when you wake up and you just feel groggy and horrible, it's like, I can't be bothered.
Well, there you go, folks. That's the true reason. It wasn't family messages. Richie had a nap, and he was too tired.
I'm honest with you guys. Like,
hey, you know what? We're only human. And doing these shows every weekend for what is 147 weeks now is sometimes you just need that little nap, Richie, especially when it's so warm out.
I think I had a busy day at work. It was hot and sweaty, and well, it wasn't sweaty, but when it's just warm, and there's like I just got home from work and I switched off for a bit.
Muggy. But again, that's why our Helix Heroes give us that extra encouragement. We do it for you, wonderful folks out there. So thank you for all the likes, thank you for all the subscribes, and thank you to the wonderful Helix Heroes. Over 50 of you out there who do support us on YouTube membership program, and we aim to please. That's why I invest in new shiny microphones. Could have just stuck with the old shitty one for a long time, but no, did it for you out there. Richie, episode 147. Let's get into the Stadia news. Introduce us to the
super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
The news. Maybe we should inform Rob this week of how the news actually works before we record talking to PS.
Nah, it's fine.
It's fine. He'll get there eventually.
He's had like 5 episodes to figure it out.
That's true. Of course, Talking to PS, our weekly PlayStation podcast that goes live every Tuesday on YouTube and podcast services. Also early to our Helix Heroes sometimes. Last week they got episode 4 about 4 days early. So almost, over half a week. So keep your eyes peeled for that, Helix Heroes. You never know. Won't be live early this week, though, because we're recording Sunday. But anyway, I digress. Moving on to the news of the week. We've got a jam-packed show, plenty of Stadia news and gaming topics to discuss and break down. Starting with story number 1, all the way from Frog Island, and a stealthy Stadia drop on Stadia Pro caught everyone by surprise. First thing on the morning on Tuesday, I think it was. Time on Frog Island arrives as your surprise pro game, taking your pro game list for the month of July to 7 games, Richie. 7 with a capital S. Time on Frog Island released a brand new game, just shadow dropped. It's from Merge Games. It's now available to play and pick up and claim. Cast away on an island paradise complete with a cast of friendly frogs. Enjoy sandbox island life and explore at your own pace, solving sticky situations, bit grim, from your new friends and trading your way to fixing your ship. A terrible storm ravages the seas around you, casting your mighty vessel into the perilous rocks of a nearby island. You awake to find your ship in pieces, shipwrecked on a strange island filled with ... frogs? A spaghetti network of trades will take you all over the strange island as you seek out materials to fix your boat. You will meet a cast of friendly characters, solve head-scratching puzzles, find hidden treasures, and much more as you explore the world of Time on Frog Island. Richie, you like frogs. What's this game doing for you? Stealth drop? Happy surprise?
Yeah, I mean, it actually looks quite fun. In quite a very casual, relaxing kind of way. It reminds me a bit of Legend of Zelda, what do you call it? Not Link to the Past. It's
Ocarina of Time.
Link's Awakening, but without like the action elements. Like you're in this castaway island, you're trying to figure out your way off the island, you have to do the trading sequence involved. It does start feeling a bit Zelda, but that's not a bad thing. Zelda's a good thing to take inspiration from.
Certainly.
And it seems to have took it in its own direction, so it's not a straight-up Zelda clone.
Yeah, it's got a very cute aesthetic about this game. And who doesn't like frogs, realistically? Who doesn't like frogs? The sticky little bastards.
Frogs are pretty good.
Not to be confused with toads. Toads are arseholes. Nobody likes toads.
I don't have strong feelings.
I'm indifferent towards the toads against frogs.
I'll admit I'm indifferent to frogs as well.
Oh, did you catch tadpoles as a child? Did you go out with parents and catch them in nets?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think I did that as well.
We did have a pond at one point, so I will have done.
Our school did have a pond as well.
Yeah, we had a pond in my garden.
Oh, yeah, tadpoles. Put a bit of jar.
Back when I used to live near your parents.
Oh, location scouting. But yes, so another free program, Richie. This game we should point out as well, £19.99, $20 equivalent. Usually coming day and date as well to free to pro. So it was one of those random price stealth drop day and date titles that nobody expected. It had no fanfare ahead of time. And then, just out of nowhere, there's, hey guys, you've got 6 pro games. You were quite content with the 6 pro games. Five Nights at Freddy's, Worms, Fast and Furious, Those Who Remain, Centipede Recharge, and Roguebook. You know what? Here's another one. Enjoy. Happy summer. Don't melt.
Yeah, the price, it being pro is good. The price is not so much, considering at the moment, it's on sale on Steam, and when it's not on sale, it's £15.49.
Okay,
so it's significantly cheaper on Steam. But if you don't have access to a laptop or Chromebook that can play it, then
that's certainly true. I'm just actually looking at the blog post now. I don't think the game even got mentioned. I'm just trying to.
What, on the Stadia blog post?
Yeah, I'm trying to have, because we got two this week. We got obviously the one that covered the pro games. Then we got this week on Stadia, which kind of goes into the next topics of the week. And I can't actually see anywhere if it mentions it. But either way, another pro game there to claim. I've seen actually loads of people enjoying this out there across social media. I think when you always get a little stealth drop like this, there is something to be said about the stealth drops. I know we criticise them quite a lot for it, I think, when it comes to bigger titles, but I think these little indie games dropping day and day are nice little pleasant touches. And if you get it for free with part of your pro subscription, it's all the sweeter, right?
Well, that's it. For a small... I'm generally, as a rule of thumb, not fond of stealth drops. But for a smaller title that's added to a service where you're already paying for it, you're already paying for Stadia Pro at probably this point in the month if you have it. It's a nice addition. It's okay. It's a smaller title. It looks pretty cool. Thank you very much. It's the bigger titles, like the stuff like take Saints Row. That's the sort of things like tell us as soon as the other platforms are telling us.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as I said, loads of people seem to enjoy it. Does it do more for you than Fast and the Furious does?
Yeah, but that's hard not to.
That's true. Before we wrap up on this particular story, I do have to ask one question. If we do have any French listeners out there, bonjour. Have you ever tried frog's legs?
Me, I have not.
Would you try frog's legs?
Yeah.
Tastes like chicken. Would you try...
Well, it's not chicken.
Would you try escargot, aka snails?
I probably would. I mean, I don't think I'd go to like a restaurant and go, give me a plate full of frog's legs and snails. But if it was like an appetizer or something, we'll just get a plate of them for the table or something.
What a plate for the table, yeah. What a combination.
Yeah, so everyone can try.
What a combination. I've actually got a question for our listeners and viewers out there, because I know we've got a few Canadians who tune in every week. French Canadians in particular. Are frog's legs and snails as popular in Canada as they are in France, do we think? Let me know.
I don't know.
Below.
Are they actually popular in France, or is it just a stereotype?
That may be. I have had both in France, and they both tasted quite garlicky and not too bad. I preferred the frog's legs to the snails, actually.
If you saute anything in garlic butter, it's going to taste like garlic.
That is true. Except for mushrooms, Richie, because we know you hate the living shit out of mushrooms.
It's true.
It's true.
They're evil.
But moving on, folks, we'll get away from the froggy conversation here. Let's hop on to the next story, Richie. Part of the community blog this week revealed something we've all knew for some time, but it's nice to have it clarified and out there. Over 100 games have now gone live on free trials on the Google Stadia platform with no account necessarily required to play. Now, this is big on many reasons, because you hit that 100 landmark, it's always good for marketing and promotions, and it's a nice round number. Who doesn't love a century of anything? Century of snails,
yeah, it's
for
a
example.
milestone.
It's a good milestone to hit. Now, I will say on the community blog post, it has confused me, because it did one of those clever tricks where it's an image, it's a static image, but it's got the play symbol right in the middle of it. And yes, did I try and click play to watch a trailer on this image? Yes, I did. Did I get slightly confused when nothing happened? Yes, I did, because it zooms in instead.
That's kind of bad form, to be honest, if it's not a video.
It is, but it's also made me chuckle when I realised I was just zooming in on a static image, and I've just done so again. 100 games, I should say, are now free trials on Google Stadia, which is a long, long list, and I think it's ringing true on what Stadia's potential could be. Now the library's kind of fleshing out to that big, almost probably at 300, right? Well, it must be 240, 250, somewhere around about that mark, pushing towards that next big milestone. The more games we get, I think you and me are both on the same agreement that eventually Stadia should hit a point where every single title is free trialable.
Yeah, I think that's clearly the goal with how quickly they're adding free trials into every game possible. my thing is with this is it's all well and good having these games as free trials, but if no one knows about them, are they serving any purpose? So I think they need to start shouting this from the roof. I think 100 is a nice point to go to the likes of a Eurogamer, an IGN, a GameSpot, all these sort of companies and going, hey, we've got 100 free... we've got 100... Just send a press release to them.
Yeah.
We have 100 games free to try on Google Stadia.
Yeah, and an absolutely fantastic
It might just be a
mix.
short write-up, but if it gets a few eyes on it, they're free to try, you might get a few people dabbling by jumping in, and then word could potentially spread. I give Stadia a go. I was playing a couple of different games, free trials, cost me nothing, didn't even need an account, and it worked fine.
It did work fine, and it does work fine as well, because as we said, now they've kind of lifted that veil on requiring a Gmail account to get access, and you can still access the free trials.
I don't think that was that.
It wasn't really,
I don't think that was
it was always a bugbear for some people. For journalists in particular covering it, it was always like, oh, you need to sign up. It's like, even though for PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, they all require you to make an account. It seems like an odd hurdle to fall on, but
and it's a sign up with a Gmail account, which you probably already have. Let us know in the comments below if you don't have a Gmail account.
Yeah, if you're out there rocking a Yahoo account.
Because I don't know a single person who doesn't have a Gmail account.
Yahoo, MSN, Ask Jeeves, all of those AOL people out there. Anyone using AOL?
I'm still rocking a Hotmail account as one of my main email addresses.
No, see, I diverted all mine to one. I like everything nice and in one place. But to point out, Richie, you mentioned that Stadia should be shouting this from the rooftops. They should be. I do feel a marketing campaign imminent, like some kind of little promo push, whether it's ads on YouTube or hopefully one day we'll see billboards, television commercials, something like that. But until that day, I want us to play a little game right in the middle of the show. Episode 147, nearly 20 minutes in. If you can click the link I've put in our doc for the trials list, I want to just play a little game to showcase to the wonderful people who listen and view along how many games there are to trial. And the way I want to do that, have you got your list up? It takes you straight to the Stadia store, with all of the games. You'll see some that you've claimed, some are still there. And next to them, it actually tells you how much the free trial is. So right at the top, we've got the Adventure Time game, Pirates of Enchiridion. That's got a 30-minute play at no cost. What I'd like to do, to use as a nice little promo push for Stadia, Richie, is you and me are going to go through this list as fast as we possibly can, and we're going to take turns and go back and forth. Okay?
Oh, I was just saying how many...
No, we're just naming the game.
Oh, just naming the game.
So I'll say Adam Wolf, you say Adventure Time, Pirates of Enchiridion, and then we just go as fast as we possibly can through this. And this is going to be our promo for Google Stadia's 100 free trials. You ready?
Right, that's it.
You got the list. Right. If you want to play 100 video games without an account, without signing up, just using the power of the cloud and your desktop, mobile phone, tablet, or any device that you already own, click the link somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I'm not actually doing this properly as an advertisement push. But myself and Richie, co-hosts of the Sounds of Stadia podcast, are now going to read through how many games you could play right now with the click of a button. Starting with Adam Wolf.
Adventure Time, Pirates of Enchiridion.
Harry and the Secret of the Seasons.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Ben 10 Power Trip.
Blazing Monster Machines, Axel City Racers.
Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Blue Fire.
Cake Bash.
Centipede Recharged.
Chicken Please Paint It Red.
Cronus Before the Ashes.
City Skylines Stadia Edition.
City Legends Curse of the Crimson Shadow CE.
What's CE stand for? Anyway, Chris Tales.
I don't know. That's Darksiders Genesis.
Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition.
Darksiders 3.
Death Run TV.
Deliver Us the Moon.
Destroy All Humans.
Dragon Quest 9S, Dragon Quest 11S, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Play that game, it's awesome.
DreamWorks Dragons Dawn of a New Rider.
DreamWorks Spirit Lucky's Big
Oh, the
Adventure.
game's getting hard. El Hijo, A Wild West Tale. Enter the Gungeon.
Far Cry 6.
Far Cry Primal.
Fast and Furious, Spy Racers, Rise of Shifter.
They said shit in the middle of that. Spy Shit, Rise of Shifter. Foreclosed.
Get Packed with Fully Loaded.
Gigantosaurus, the game.
Golf with Your Friends. Hello Engineer.
Hello Neighbor.
Hello Neighbor, Hide and Seek.
Hotline Miami.
Hotline Miami 2, wrong number.
Human, Fall Flat Stadia Edition.
Humankind.
Ice Age Scrat's Nutty Adventure.
Jotun, Valhalla Edition.
Kimono Heroes.
Lake.
Little Big Workshop.
Little Nightmares Complete Edition.
Crosswords Beyond the Page.
Lumo, the Master Mode Chronicles.
Monster Cross Energy Supercross, the official video game 3.
Monster Cross Energy Supercross, the official video game 4.
Monster Jam Seal Titans.
Monster Jam Steel Titans 2.
MotoGP 20.
MotoGP
Man
21.
by numbers.
My Friend Peppa Pig.
I didn't know you were friends. My Little Pony, a maritime adventure.
One Hand Clapping.
Outcasters.
Outriders World Slayer Edition.
Overcooked, all you can eat.
Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle.
Paw Patrol, Mighty Pup, Save Adventure Bear.
Paw Patrol the Movie, Adventure City Calls.
Bogs.
Piku Niku.
PJ Masks, Heroes of the Night.
Race with Ryan, Road Trip Deluxe Edition.
Rains.
Risk of Rain 2.
Rock of Ages 3, Make and Break.
Roguebook.
Ryan's Rescue Squad.
Secret Neighbor.
Serious Sam 4.
Serious Sam Collection.
Spirit Pharaoh, Farewell Edition.
Spitlings.
SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom, Rehydrated.
Steamwell Dig 2.
Sundered, Eldridge Edition.
Super Animal Royale.
Terraria.
The Addams Family Mansion Mayhem.
The Dark Side Detective.
The Dark Side Detective, A Fumble in the Dark.
The Falconeer.
Jacksbox Party Pack 8.
Those Who Remain.
Through the Darkest of Times.
Time on Frog Island.
Toho.
Transformers Battlegrounds.
Troll Hunters, Defenders of Arcadia.
World War Z Aftermath.
Worms, WMD.
Wreckfest.
East 9, Monstrum Nox.
East 13. No, sorry, 8. I don't know why I thought Roman numerals. Damn it. Lacrimosa of Dana. And that brings us to 100 games you could play right now on a free trial. Of course, various free trials. Richie, what a list. What a variety.
A very good list.
A very good list. From big AAA titles to the smallest little indie games with frogs.
There's quite a handful of games I would strongly recommend people to have a go at in there as well.
There certainly is. And I'm sure we could have read through that list faster. But I just wanted to spend some time just looking at the list and basically like kind of admitting that that's a hell of a list. I know Game Pass is great, but this is like free trial. If you have no clue about Stadia or no clue about what games, if you're a lapsed gamer or if you're a child or your parents and you're getting kids into gaming, they could just check out so much stuff without any hardware commitment, any money going down, no Gmail account sign-ups. Just jump in, play games using the interwebs.
You know what we should do? After we finish recording this podcast, we'll go back in, we'll try it again, see if we can do it under 60 seconds for a short.
Oh, jeez, I don't think that's possible. We could try, but I don't think it's possible. How fast can you say that list of names, folks? Let us know in the comments below. But hopefully that was a nice little promo for all of the amazing titles out on Stadia. And the list, Richie, as we know, is only getting bigger. Moving on to story number 3 of the week. The Atari collection shows no slow down. Another Recharged title from Atari will be making its way to Google Stadia, announced by Atari themselves. Yars Recharged, an indie-style game infused with elements of classic arcade gaming, adventure, and shoot-'em-up, is punctuated by moments of chaotic bullet hell. Will be heading to Stadia later this year. Yars Recharged thrusts players to the centre of a daring attack against the enemy homeworld, guarded by mechanical hives that pulse deadly cannons and emit flurries of swirling missiles. Find pockets of safety among the hail of incoming fire and dart forward in daring forays to chip away at the enemy's defences. Gather enough energy to destroy enemy shields to power up massively destructive Zorlon cannon, pulsing searing blasts of cosmic energy. This write-up goes on for a little bit, but essentially it's got boss rush mode, mission mayhem, juiced up power-ups, co-op with a co-op pilot. And it reminds me a little bit of Zero Wing from the Sega Mega Drive Genesis days. And of course, it is an Atari game. Is this a new title? No, it can't be. It's Recharged, so it must be a remake. Yeah. I've never heard of Yars.
Yeah, me either. There's apparently a game called Yars Revenge came out in 1982.
Ooh, it was a bit before our time.
I like how it refers to this game as an indie-style game. Mm-hmm. When, well, indie games didn't exist in 1982. This was just a game. This was probably a AAA.
Back in the day with AAA. Visually then, what does this do for you then? We're obviously in the middle of a Recharge resurgence from Atari. I actually like the way they're approaching it.
I like the fact that they're doing it. I haven't jumped into any of them, and I probably will at some point. But I think it's a good thing that these games are finding a new life, and I actually do like the neon aesthetic they're going with. That they seem to be going to all of them. I think it looks pretty cool. It almost looks like if back in the 80s when these games were first coming out, they had modern hardware. This is what they do.
Yeah,
and that I think is a huge compliment.
Definitely. I've seen the Stadia community out there absolutely fighting for top spot in the Centipede Recharged high score grade, and that's again, a lot of these find their origins in the arcade back in the day. So they're designed to have a score because they want people to spend more money to have that name top of the pile in the. Although I say name, it was only ever 3 digits, right? What did you put for your digits? Initials?
Yeah, it's usually initials.
Initials, good. Yeah, same.
Or something rude.
As you do. But yes, Yars Recharged coming imminently by the end of the year. It seems to be the cadence, I guess, that we're going to see probably multiple Atari Recharged titles drop on Google Stadia. There's clearly some deal in the background to bring them all across. And by the nature of the size of the titles, I don't think they're going to take that much to port. They're clearly working on it.
I'm kind of expecting one a month, so I wouldn't be surprised if this drops in August as a pro game.
Yeah. Exactly. I wouldn't really disagree with that. Yars Revenge as well, just reading up now I've had a bit more time, made history becoming the best-selling original Atari title on the Atari 2600. So it does have some heritage back in there. It was top-selling game.
So it made its debut on the home consoles rather than in the arcades.
Interesting. I'm sure it took some inspiration from that. Again, reminds me of Zero Wing. There's lots of bug aesthetic going on with these Atari games. If you notice that, either bugs are easy to animate back in the day, or people just like bugs that kill things, or killing bugs.
Yeah.
But yeah, looks super fun.
I don't know.
I'm sure it's got an awesome soundtrack as well. That's one of my best things I love taking away from Sega Mega Drive, NES, SNES days. It's just the music. I've got such a fond memory for like that 8-bit, 16-bit soundtrack. My wife absolutely hates it. Like when I'm chilling out to the Sonic 2 soundtrack, she cannot stand. To her, it just sounds like beeps and boops. And I guess she doesn't have that fondness of like. There's something about it that just like I can
that
go
chiptune like 8 or 16-bit soundtrack.
Yeah, and I guess if you've not grown up with that, it's not the type of music you would normally see like in the charts or you'd hear about at school. So it's a very niche type of music, but yeah, there's definitely some nostalgia at play where I could just fall asleep listening to like the synth pop 16-bit beat.
I was watching a YouTube video from Rob Scallion the other day. He's a YouTube guitarist, and he plugged his guitar into like one of them massive like modular synths. And some of the stuff he was playing sounds like at points like that could have been straight from the Mega Drive. I want one. I mean, it wouldn't fit in this room, but
like, you want one.
Yeah, I want one.
You should get one. Anyone out there who's looking for some music to listen to this week, definitely check out Wipeout. No, why did I say Wipeout? I meant Zero Wing.
Yeah.
I realise now I keep saying Wipeout, and I don't think Wipeout was even a game. Zero Wing, sorry, on the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis. There's a YouTube video that's got it set up in a playlist, and it's such banging tunes. You love it, Richie. You've never played it. And incredibly rare as well, if you're actually trying to get your hands on a copy of Zero Wing. It's the "All Our Bass Are Belong to Us" meme came from that game. Absolute classic, and it plays so well. Holds up today. Moving on though, away from the Atari classics into the future, and the future is covered in Chromecast. Richie, our next story of the week takes us all the way to Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, and Switzerland, and now India as well, because Google Chromecast with Google TV is now available in 8 new countries across Europe, and it's also reached. I was going to say the shores of India, but I don't think that quite works. It's available now. So starting with today, Chromecast has expanded into more countries. So in total, Google is expanding its official sales to 9 new countries, which I just presumed by default was already available in. When I saw the list of European countries, I was genuinely shocked that places like Belgium, Denmark, and the Netherlands didn't have access to the newest Chromecast when we've had it for... How long have you had yours for now? You and Tom bought one at the same time.
I think I got mine day one.
So, what, about a year ago?
Close enough. Yeah. One thing that, I mean, I already knew that wasn't everywhere because there's a couple of guys now Discord said they had to import them. I think they were like from like...
I know they had to with the Pixels, but I didn't realise that was a thing with the Chromecast 2.
Yeah, it's just for some reason Google, despite being this massive corporation, doesn't seem to have a physical presence in some countries. And it's not like obscure countries. These are pretty well established, quite affluent European nations. And for some reason, they still hate Portugal.
Well, less said about that.
But I was just like googling the original Chromecast came out in 2013, so it's almost a decade since the Gen 1 Chromecast. So it took them a decade to start selling in Denmark, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, Austria.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's like, Google, what the hell?
And that kind of echoes...
You're missing out on a lot of money.
Yeah, and that echoes what we've seen with Stadia. We many times in this podcast have said, if you're out there in some of the countries listed that Stadia's availability stretched out into, so the countries like Romania and Lithuania and such, and we hear nothing from that audience. Like, there must be people out there who got Stadia in those countries, and yet we see no content creators. There's no one on social. You get a couple of people asking about it when it's expanding to India, Mexico, Brazil and such. But are we kind of just siloed in a little bubble here where, because the UK is generally flush with Google products and the US is obviously flush with Google products, are we just kind of not well aware that Google doesn't have the kind of mainstream kind of footprint that we maybe think it does?
It seems to be entirely on them. This, because it's like, this is like them not getting the distribution network in order to major European nations, which is just bizarre. Again, almost a decade since the Gen 1 Chromecast. And but in that time, things like the Amazon Fire Stick will have come. So now like streaming and casting stuff will be like ubiquitous, like synonymous with Amazon, not with Google. So you've lost by not, for whatever reason, not setting up a warehouse in Belgium and finding some local distributors. You've just lost that probably lost a huge amount of business.
Yeah, well, we're reading from the 9 to 5 Google article, and it actually goes into detail then. It says, actually, the Google TV launched on June 21st in those extra European countries we mentioned, nearing the 2-year anniversary of the product debuting in September 2020. So you're putting out a 2-year-old product to markets, and I've got to wonder if the interest is basically wavered at that point. There are obviously rumours circulating of a next iteration. As with all technology, there's always new iterations. We've seen that happen with the Google Hubs and the speaker setup time and time again, that we get kind of like yearly iterations or bi-yearly iterations. Which leads me to wondering, to always question, I'm very curious to see how Amazon Luna's rollout is going to happen, because Amazon does have a large distribution network, as far as I'm aware. And although they're keeping themselves to themselves...
That is literally what... Amazon may be more of a getting towards more of a tech company now, but they were initially a bookseller. Yeah. Distribution networks is kind of their thing.
Oh, 100%, definitely more than Google. But it's crazy sometimes to peel back the curtain a little bit and think, actually, Google might not have a handle on, like you said, their distribution as much as we sometimes anticipate. And I do wonder, in hindsight, when all the dust has settled and cloud gaming is everywhere and everyone's aware of it mainstream-wise, when we look back at Stadia, and we're kind of looking in retrospect, how much of it not maybe landing as popular as people were hoping was actually down to distribution? Because we've said sometimes all those additional countries that you can't actually get your hands on a Stadia Premier Edition. It's not available on the website anymore. It's not available to buy in some countries still. Even though it's available to play, you can't actually go on like your local Google store or your website and order it. I wonder how much that's actually hampering the rollout, because if I lived in one of these countries and I was really keen on the tech but I couldn't, I don't want to go through the faff of importing it from another country. You shouldn't have to do that, especially from a company the size of Google. And I just think it's going to be really interesting to look back in several years' time and see how this cloud gaming race pans out, and where Luna, Stadia, GeForce Now and Shadow and Xbox and PlayStation all sit.
Can you imagine being in a country, walking into your local digital and electronics store? For us, it's like a Curry's PC World. Imagine walking in or I think in America it's like Best Buy.
GameStop.
Imagine walking in GameStop. It's places like that. Imagine walking in and not being able to pick up a Chromecast or any Google products.
Yeah, we can get them from like our local like supermarket, our Asda, our Walmart if we want to.
It's weird. I don't.
Yeah.
Again, this is
it's crazy to think. Looking at, so say the Netherlands. We've both been to Amsterdam, Richie. Great city, beautiful country.
Never together.
Never together. Yet. And yeah, we could just like literally we both live close to an Asda supermarket, which is the UK equivalent to Walmart. Yeah. I could go in there to get my bread, milk, whatever I fancy, and I reckon I could find a Google Chromecast with TV, just pull it off the shelves and get it home within 10 minutes, 15 minutes time. And it's crazy to think that all of these countries listed, they're just getting it now, which is like, I just presumed everyone had it. When you got yours last year, you and Tom picked the new ones up with the remote control. I just figured that they all would. But that brings us on to the kind of the second part of this particular news article, and that is the rollout in India. And the reason we bring that up is we know Google Stadia is expanding into Mexico. We covered it on last week's show. And India and Brazil are probably the two biggest populations out there that are not tapped up currently by Stadia for cloud gaming. And the Chromecast finally rolling out to India. Does this pave the way for Stadia to be switched on finally, do we think? Is the time now?
I hope so. I really hope so. I don't know. The only reason I could see them waiting is like internet infrastructure.
Yeah.
But I generally don't know what that's like in India.
I mean, if it's enough for the Chromecast to be rolled out, they stream. They're a literal streaming stick. So if it's good enough to stream, then by theory, it's good enough for Stadia, right?
Yeah, theoretically, yeah. It should be fine, because actually you don't need that higher speeds to be able to run Stadia. I think it's something like they suggest, it's been a long time since I've seen the number, I think it was 30 megabit per second. I think realistically you're looking minimum 50.
Yeah. But I always chuckle a little bit. I think PlayStation Plus streaming, cloud streaming, in the tech specs it actually says something as little as like 5 to 7, which we both know is very, very fingers crossed levels of internet. But again, the future technology is only going to get better, and the global infrastructure for fiber direct to the property. You're looking at changing your broadband right now, I believe, as well. It's only going to get better.
I haven't decided to go for it. I need to ring up my current ISP, but I'm kind of torn because my current ISP want to charge me an extra £20 a month for no reason. And if I change over to the only other ISP who provide me fibre, their Wi-Fi, their router doesn't have a modem mode, so I can't disable the Wi-Fi on the router. But considering I have my own network, I'm kind of like a bit apprehensive about that. I was like, why have you done that? Just give me the ability to turn that off. It's not
give me the choice.
Complicated
give
thing.
Me the choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll hear updates.
Or send me a free Faraday cage. Because I don't want two networks live in my own house.
Yep. Just gets in the way. Frequencies crossing over. Speaking of things crossing over, Richie, we'll move on to our next star of the week. This is focused on a new game announcement that hasn't been confirmed for Stadia, but I'd like to think it's one of those that should be a shoo-in, but we never quite know. Announced this Friday, actually, today, time of recording. We were lucky to catch this one. Kona 2, Brume, Brume, has been announced for PS5, Series X, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, due out in 2023. Publisher Ravenscourt and developer Parabol have announced the follow-up to Kona. Richie, you've actually got a first look up on the channel from many, many moon ago.
Yeah, it was actually my first ever solo stream.
Solo. The sequel takes place in northern Quebec in 1970. A bizarre mist, the Brume, is disconnecting a rural mining village from its quiet reality and disrupting the balance of nature. But where is it coming from? Step back into the role of Detective Carl Faubert and dive deeper into the surreal mysteries of Kona. Make your trek through the snowy landscapes of northern Canada, shout out to John Scar and Ninja Guy X, and discover that you are not entirely alone. Find other stranded people, both victims and survivors of a devastating avalanche, and uncover the hidden dark truth of Brume. I feel like I'm pronouncing Brume wrong. Would you say it any other way? Brume?
No.
Brume?
Brume.
Key features, they've got exploration, investigation, survival, and experience. Now, Richie, you got hands-on with the original Kona. I have not played it. I know it was a pro game. It didn't appeal to me necessarily. You went deep dive, checked it out for the first time. Sequel. One, obviously, do you think it'll come to Stadia?
I actually not sure it will.
Ooh.
Because it was an early pro game.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think this one of them comes down to they'll have their stats on how many people have played it, how well did it sell outside of pro, and I've got a feeling it probably didn't do great.
of course, it was so early on when it went pro. The numbers might have been higher than they are nowadays.
Worryingly, yeah.
I mean, worryingly indeed, but we don't know. It's one of those situations, though, again, where it's been announced for everything else, and the one that always gets me is when it says Switch, because we know what the power performance of the Switch is. Gorgeous games, beautiful games. Who doesn't love a bit of Mario and Zelda and Pokemon? However, it's not the most technical powerhouse when it comes to hardware. So seeing a game that can run on the Switch not come to the cloud always kind of irks me a little bit as a cloud player. Not that it shouldn't go to Switch, of course, but you know what I mean, where it's like, come on.
Yeah. It's just install base, if anything. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, the biggest thing with cloud at the moment is there enough people on Google Stadia wanting to buy this game to make it profitable for the developers to put the effort in to bring it across?
Indeed. But we've got until 2023. So if Saints Row has taught us anything, Richie, never say never.
So we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we should point out
and hopefully we'll get a load of leaks.
I mean, we should point out it has just had an announcement teaser this past Friday. However, it does say at the end of the trailer, we'll see more. We'll see you at Gamescom. So we've actually just got a few more weeks until Gamescom kicks off in Germany, and hopefully we expect to see a little bit more based on this trailer. So fingers crossed, we might get Kona 2 Brume coming to Stadia in the near future. I'll tell you what won't be possibly coming. Some older Assassin's Creed multiplayer titles, Richie. Moving on to the next story. We have, reading from The Verge and Eurogamer, multiple games on Steam will not be accessible. Multiple Ubisoft games, that is, after September 1st. So while everybody's out there playing The Last of Us Part 1 remake, a bunch of games were listed as having been disconnected from the servers come September at the request of the publisher, which means certain games will not be available to play or purchase any longer, one of them being Assassin's Creed Liberation HD. Now, Assassin's Creed Liberation HD was, of course, the Assassin's Creed spin-off featuring, I want to say she's called Aveline. Aveline. Again, pronunciation, apologies to anyone out there. Called that name. This title has then kind of caused a little bit of a kickback for Ubisoft, where some of the games, there were the 2013, 2012 versions of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, the Ezio Collection, and a bunch of other Ubisoft titles. However, Assassin's Creed Liberation HD was the Vita game, PlayStation Vita, that was then ported to consoles. And this kind of got loads of people thinking that the game was going to be unpurchasable and unplayable across current hardware, including, for us people here playing in the clouds, Google Stadia. So there's loads of people thinking that Liberation wasn't going to be able to be played after the fact. Now, before we go down that rabbit hole of delisting older games and video game preservation, there was an update to the article that came out later the very same day that said Ubisoft have actually clarified that the game Assassin's Creed Liberation HD in particular will be able to play and re-download after its servers shut down on the 1st of September. So in a new statement to them, it seemed to contradict the message that went out on the Steam pages. However, it does look like they've clarified it. So for anyone out there worrying about purchasing Assassin's Creed Liberation HD on Stadia, never fear. It just means the multiplayer aspect of the game is going to be unavailable. Richie, the biggest story here, though, is, of course, old games losing their servers after a decade or so.
Yeah, I mean, the U10 they've done with the Steam stuff prevented a half-hour rant in CloudQuest, basically. Because I was planning a CloudQuest on it, but with the U10, it's not quite as bad. And we'll be talking about here, no doubt we'll be talking on the PS tomorrow as well. Mm-hmm. It's not great, to be honest. The fact that it's going to be playable, it's fine. I get with multiplayer games, you can't keep the servers going forever for the 4 people still playing.
What, those Stadia players, or these just...
Yeah, I was just about to say, put your Stadia jokes in the comments. The bits that worry me is the ones that have single player components where they'll go, I won't be able to play this anymore, or you won't be able to download it, or you won't be able to download DLC. Mm-hmm. Now, if you can still download the game, you should be able to still download the DLC because people have paid good money for that. Mm-hmm. Whatever your thoughts on DLC are, there's people who've paid money for that. You should still be accessible to them.
It should be part of it.
I think that, unfortunately, I do believe that for Ubisoft. Like, you've sold people this. I understand very well that you purchase, when you buy a game, you purchase a license to use that software for as long as they kind of deem fit. But it's when they do such a huge list in one go, it makes it worse.
Yeah,
it really does.
Obviously, the servers must go in like chunks together, but for as far as video game preservation goes, it's a bit of one to take sometimes. But you're right; these things can't run in perpetuity forever. There is a cost involved, and as you said, if there's minimal to no people playing it, it's interesting. But yeah, cutting off the game entirely seems like a bit of a bad move. I will actually point out, I'm just looking at the Stadia store now. Folks at home can see it. I'm sharing my screen now. Who are watching along on YouTube. Sorry, audio listeners. Do you want to double check this as well? I've looked for Assassin's Creed Liberation HD in there, of course. I think it initially came with a purchase of Black Flag or something. When you click on the game, you can play it with Ubisoft Plus, but it's not actually giving me the option to purchase it as a standalone.
I'll have a look.
And I'm trying to rack my brain for thinking, was it? I know it was included. I figured in Black Flag, but
while I'm looking for this, I think it's worth mentioning this can be redeemable if Ubisoft, because all the online stuff, it forces you through Uplay. So I'm guessing that's what they're trying to get rid of, some of the old Uplay stuff. But why don't they just allow people to run like their private servers? Especially on games that have strong, like Anno, which is like, it has a very strong multiplayer following. Just let people have host their own servers locally, and then suddenly it's no longer an issue, and I can only get it on Ubisoft Plus.
Interesting. I wonder if this is because, or I'm looking at the rest of the games. It was a spin-off from Black Flag, because you can get Evangeline's character in Black Flag as like an unlockable person.
Was it a spin-off of 3? Not Black Flag?
Yeah, maybe it was 3.
Because they're set in the Americas. It's pre-American Revolution.
Yeah, Aveline. You can get her in as like an add-on pack for Black Flag. But you might be right. Yeah, it might have been Assassin's Creed 3. But Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered did come with it, so you can buy that for $29.99 on the Stadia store right now. But there's nowhere that says, does it come with it? Where are we at? Additional content also includes the original Soul expansion, King Terry, and full game of Assassin's Creed Liberation Remastered. So you need to buy Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered to get Liberation HD. So
they're just kind of, this is now DLC of Assassin's Creed 3 then?
It should probably be listed then as that. Does it say in the description? No, it doesn't say anywhere that you need to purchase.
It does feel like that should be in the, like, next to the get Ubisoft Plus, like get this with Assassin's Creed. Yeah,
get this game included with the other one. But either way, we've done some research. Well done. Sounds of Stadia crew. We did it. We got to the bottom of it. However, we will not get to the bottom of video game preservation quite yet. Ubisoft delisting. Of course, we should point out the Ubisoft Assassin's Creed franchise in particular hasn't leaned that much into multiplayer in recent years. I think the biggest focus was on Assassin's Creed Unity in France. That had you team up with a squad of 4 assassins, and take on kind of missions across Paris. Really enjoyed what I played of that game. I do have the Platinum Trophy in it, but the multiplayer was always just a side note. It was never that wow or anything like that.
I dropped out. I found Assassin's Creed 3 to be incredibly boring. At this point, I was burned out on the franchise. So I didn't play Black Flag initially, and then I was thinking about getting back into the franchise with Unity. And at the time, I was a PC gamer, and it was an absolute broken mess on launch. I went, nope, hard pass.
I played it on...
So I've never played Unity.
I played it on PS4, and it was...
I never played Unity. I never played Syndicate. I went back to play Black Flag. And then I skipped Origins, because I just kind of lost love of the franchise entirely.
Syndicate's good as well, though. Syndicate got shafted because of Unity. Syndicate is arguably one of the best Assassin's Creed games, and because of how bad press Unity gathered... I think it lost a lot of wind.
Don't release broken games.
Well, yeah, that's the lesson. That's the lesson learned, definitely. But speaking of games that do work, we'll move on to one of our final stories of the week. The Quarry developers. We wanted to pick this one up because it is Stadia related quite heavily if we actually dig deeper. Until Dawn, of course, The Quarry, the Dark Pictures anthology from 2K Games, and Supermassive Games, who had that exclusive video game listed for Google Stadia, that special deal that was made that never came to fruition, and it turns out The Quarry, of course, was that game in question. It launched in June last month. To good praise, it was the top-selling game on the PlayStation Store when it listed, of course. Quiet month, but all the same, congratulations to The Quarry and Supermassive Games. They've now been acquired by Nordisk Games. The publisher initially took out a 30.7% stake in the company last year, but then they've upped it now to 100%. And as we all know with shares, that once you buy so many, you got to buy the whole cake. You can't buy the cow and have the milk for free. That kind of thing I was trying to say last week that I got wrong. Can't remember what it was. Something about milking cows. Either way, we digress. Cash milk. Remember that, Richie? That's a throwback for old school Sounds of Stadia listeners. Cash milk.
Money milk from your cash
Money
cow.
milk from your cash cow. Cash milk. Trademark. So Supermassive Games, Richie, they're now part of Nordisk Games. They've got this year's The Devil in Me, which looks quite a nice, interesting little indie game. So the Dark Pictures anthology is still going. I think they've got about 4 or so titles to release in that long-running franchise saga. Who knows what's going to happen with these now? This is actually the reason I wanted to bring it up as part of the Stadia news, is because it's always almost like the thing that could have happened. Like The Quarry could have been in development at Stadia. They could have had a great relationship. And if they're up for willing to purchase, I very much believe Supermassive Games would have become part of the Stadia Games Entertainment family alongside the Journey to the Savage Planet people, Jade Raymond's studio, and however many of the little acquisitions they would have made along the way. I think this would have been if they were up for sale, I think this was probably an easy decision by Google after The Quarry would have came out to the success it's seen.
Yeah, I think it's possible. But it's potentially what probably meant they couldn't is probably the Dark Pictures anthology stuff. If they've got exclusivity with Sony, that might have put a no, we can't do this just yet. But I don't know. Well, it's gone now, so
it has indeed. It has gone now. You're certainly right there. In a way, though, at least it's not gone to one of the bigger ones. PlayStation and Microsoft haven't been able to snap them up, so.
I'm surprised PlayStation didn't, to be honest. It feels like PlayStation Studio, to be honest.
Yeah.
It feels very PlayStation. I wonder if that's because I've only played any of them games on PlayStation. Mm-hmm. So I've got that kind of mental association, but... Yeah,
after the success of Until Dawn, but who knows. I haven't played The Quarry yet. I was thinking on the channel when we start doing a bit more PlayStation content off the back of the Talking the PS PlayStation podcast, you should definitely check out. It's available now.
I think it'd make a good Halloween stream.
It would, but I think it's an interesting transition between what would have been probably a no doubt Stadia stream we would have definitely done, not indefinitely, and a PlayStation stream. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. See what we could have had. But moving on to the next story of the week, we got a little bit of an APK breakdown. It's been a while since we had one of these, actually, Richie, breaking down the Android files. Our friend Carl Bradshaw over at 95 Google doing his good old breakdowns, digging into the coding of these Android files and seeing what's kicking, and what's coming in the future for Google Stadia. It looks like your Explore tab, Richie, which we know they like to dabble in from time to time, it's going to be getting a reaction option. So, when you're on your favourite social media platform, Facebook, and you hold down, you get to do a love heart, a shock emoji, a wow emoji, or a thumbs up. It looks like something similar may be coming to the Explore tab with some post reactions. So if you make it, you can still tweak it and make it private, but it looks like we're going to get a bit more interaction with the good old Explore tab, because I think that's one of our problems we've said initially, is it just becomes a live feed of nonsense that you don't have any way of cultivating or...
There's no way to cultivate. There's no way to interact with the content. It's just stuff just dumped into the ether. It's at the moment the most useless feature on Stadia.
Ooh.
It doesn't. I hate it. It just doesn't help with anything. It's one of them. If you want to share a cool moment, you can't really, because while you can share it, anyone watching that cool moment can't comment or interact with that post. Can't. So you're better off just pushing it to Facebook or Twitter or somewhere, or Reddit or Instagram or wherever your platform of choice is.
Yeah, the whole social element is actually lost very fast when no one can give you feedback or laugh or smile or say, oh my god, that was amazing, that kill, that drift, that skill, whatever it was. Yeah, when it's just you posting a video. I wonder
what their vision for the Explore tab was, because
Google Plus.
Because it was revised to this. and this is not good. The reactions are getting better, but I still think you need to be able to have like a comment thread or something.
Comments, 100%. It's got to be in the pipeline. It's got to be in the pipeline.
Because then you could use it like almost go like, right, he's a puzzle in like a Tomb Raider game that I was having problems with. I wanted to share this just in case anyone else had problems.
Well, that was the dream eventually, isn't it? Is then you share that link with people, they can jump into the game, actually help you out with the puzzle, and then you hand it back to you via another link, and then your game continues there. But we've not really seen that dream become realised yet. So it's in the pipeline. I'm sure comments are on the way. Another feature listed in the APK breakdown is a too many players warning. Reading direct from the quote, there are too many players in your area right now, so you're playing on a server that's further away than usual. You can still play, but you might see some issues. So it looks like it's prepping it for a potential kind of like error message or a warning. Too many players.
I like to see them being ambitious.
Yeah, too many players on the area. It might be for the Mexico rollout. Who knows? It might be prepping for
maybe.
That. But yeah.
I'm glad that they feel like if they're putting this in, they feel it's a necessity, and that's a good thing for Stadia, to be honest. Although the better solution isn't giving people a warning and a crapper service, it's to actually, improve your service. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm going to be jokes aside, I want to be optimistic about this. If they think that they need this warning, then it feels like they think that they're going to be launching into areas where they're going to have this critical mass of players.
Mm-hmm. India,
yeah. Mexico.
We said.
It's already Brazil.
Critical mass. Yeah. So it seems to signify some kind of overflow event, and this is going to be like a stopgap just to say like, oh, apologies, but there's lots of people on your server. We see it sometimes with Xbox Cloud streaming. You get kind of the wait time to get into the game. We see it with GeForce Now. You get put in the queue. But obviously different approaches to cloud gaming in their own rights. And
I can't. Slight rant I'll always have with GeForce Now is a premium service I shouldn't have to queue.
Well,
if I'm paying you money, I don't want to sit in the queue.
So yeah, I say that about Disney World, but then I still get then after damn queue for 20-30 minutes, even in the fast pass lane. So it's part of life. It's part of life. I actually thought when they said too many players, I thought it was... I'm going to stop you there before you go off on a tangent. Too many players. Yeah. I thought it was about our friend Brian Chappelle over at the Nerf Report, who actually pointed out that Stadia has a maximum friend limit of 1,000. So when this article went live on 95 Google, I thought it was in response to Brian saying, once you hit 1,000 players on your friend list, you can't add any more. It physically doesn't let you. And I thought they were going to remedy it or put a warning in to say, sorry, you've got too many friends. Time to cull some people. But no, it turned out it was just the too many players in your area on the server. So
outside of content creators, people are not going to have 1,000 friends.
No, I think that's an impossible task. You might, they're not going to be good friends anyway, are they? Either way, we digress. Quick ones for you to wrap things up with, Richie, this week. Valiant Hearts is available now for anyone who doesn't know, didn't look into it. We covered it on last week's show. It was announced on the community blog. It's available right now. It's the Ubisoft Arts game from Ubisoft Montpellier that takes you through, essentially, World War One and a cute 2D art style where you take on multiple characters across the original Great War, the First War, 1914 to 1918, and it tells a great story. Definitely recommend you check this one out. It's available now. I think it was for $15.99. Also available on Ubisoft Plus. Correct me if I'm wrong on that particular front, but that's available now to play. I've seen a few people enjoying it, definitely enjoying the art style, and tells a very good story, so hugely recommend that one. And the final story for the week we'll get into is Outcasters has gone free to play. So as a love note to all of the people out there who enjoy Outcasts, of course, one of the true Google Stadia exclusives, Richie, that we've played over the years. Great fun to be had. It included crowd play, crowd choice, all the streamers, all the content creators out there really, really enjoyed this game. And Sarah from the social teams out there tweeted out, and I'll read direct from the Outcasters blog from Splash Damage. As you might have noticed, we've been a little quiet on the Outcasters front recently. We've seen and we've heard you asking what's going on with the game, so we've got some big news for you. Outcasters is now free on Stadia for everyone, whether you are an active Stadia Pro subscriber or not. If you didn't claim the game when it was part of Stadia Pro, you can go ahead and add it to your library right now. For streamers out there, give crowd choice and crowd play a shot. And if that's not for you, Outcasters also has been added to the list of games with click-to-play free trials, which means anyone can jump right in for a 1-hour free trial, even if they don't have a Stadia account yet. You can find out
1-hour free trial and a completely free-to-play game.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. It continues on to say, this is our love letter to Outcasters and the Stadia community. Playing with and talking to you all has been an absolute blast. We can't thank you enough for jumping into our live streams, sending us your art and Outcaster creations, and being fans of our game. As we shift our focus to new projects at Splash Damage, we wanted to make sure Outcasters is playable by everyone in our community. We're currently working on exciting unannounced projects, and we can't wait to show you more. If you want to be the first to know, make sure you give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, newsletter, blah, 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 blah. Richie, we've said for some time, Outcasters, unfortunately, didn't get the support the game deserved. It was a fun little game, but unfortunately, no new maps, no new characters, no new game modes.
Wasn't enough game.
Yeah.
There just wasn't enough game on release, and then no more game kit ever came.
Yeah. And it didn't obviously feature any kind of crossplay because it is still a Stadia exclusive. And what do you make of this kind of? It's weird. This is our love letter to Outcasters, and it almost sounds as though it's a goodbye. Very much so.
Yeah, that. I completely believe that. I think this is their way of saying we're no longer going to put any work into Outcasters, but we like the game, which is fair. It's a good game. We want people to be able to, as many people to be able to play it. But yeah, so I totally get them moving on because I mean, last time we played, it was basically dead.
It was our community. It was who we took onto the stream. Played with us,
and that was it.
And no cross functionality because the game isn't anywhere. I think a lot of people and a lot of true fans of this game would probably admit to themselves that if this went on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, with crossplay, this could rejuvenate the whole thing because it is a fun game. That's the thing; it is a fun game to jump in with friends and enemies, I guess. But it is limited by the player base.
I think if this game came out cross-platform from day one, then they'll probably might still be even adding content to it today.
Yeah.
I think with Stadia, again, it comes back to that player base, and it is absolutely crippling for multiplayer titles where I think, and I remember there was lots of hype around Outcasters. Every streamer who was associated with Stadia was playing, but as content creators, we do tend to move on to the next thing. So I think that critical mass just died away, and the game was left kind of empty in terms of its player base, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. It was,
and obviously, as a developer, if no one's playing the game, as much as great the game is, are you going to be throwing more money at it? The answer is unfortunately no. Yeah. It's a shame. I hope to see this come over other platforms, actually, because I hope it does get a second life somewhere else.
Yeah, it's got that fun art style, it's got that fun gameplay, the multiplayer, just wacky nature of just taking on your friends with like weapons and power-ups. That if I genuinely think if this dropped on like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or Nintendo free-to-play, whatever it might be, it would do huge numbers. But unfortunately, it's kind of just like lamenting in no users. I'm sure loads will flock back to it this week, but then what happens after that? Because the developers have moved on, so there's nothing more. No new game modes, no new campaigns, no new maps, no new player character creation.
That was the crippling thing. Where there was only a small handful of maps and a couple of game modes, and that was it. So after a couple of streams, like we'd moved on. There wasn't enough there to keep us.
I mean, we jumped in and couldn't even find fellow players to fill out a lobby sometimes. So. You can only play with the AI and yourself so many times. But in the end of the letter, Richie, they do say our shift focuses towards new projects. We wanted to make sure that Outcasters is playable by everyone in our community. We're working on an unannounced project. This kind of gives me hope that we'll see their next game on Stadia, because the way they're addressing the community and saying how much they love and appreciate everything we've done for tuning in, sending images, artwork, and their Twitter account was fantastic. I keep staying engaged with the Stadia community as well. It seems like they're saying goodbye, but at the same time they're also saying like keep it locked for our future projects, which is kind of like at least there's an olive branch being held out there to say you'll see us again soon, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, I hope we do.
Because of course this was the Splash Damage contract agreement was in line with the supermassive one we just mentioned with the Quarry. It was in line with the Harmonix deal that we've not had a peep from since. So it was one of the only deals with Stadia Games Entertainment that came to fruition, and I think it's definitely got a place in history for being that title. As sad as it now is that it's no longer going to have any players or support. But you know what? Enjoy it while it's... Well, not while it's free. It's, by the looks of it, it's the first game and only game to go constantly free. So enjoy it while you can. If you've got an hour free trial, I feel like you could actually get the most out of the game within 1 hour and probably be done with it.
I think that's the... As we've said a couple of times, there's just not enough game there. If you feel like 1 hour is enough to experience pretty much everything the game has to offer.
Indeed.
There you go.
Either way, it is. But hopefully we'll see what the next... Imagine if the next game was just like Outcasters, and it was just the exact same thing, but with more maps, more characters, and it was on every platform. They're like, you can copy my homework, but just change it up a little bit. One of those scenarios. Either way, we joke, of course, folks. Great game, plenty of fun to be had. And you know what? If you enjoy it, play wherever makes you the happiest, remember. But that has been it for episode 147 of your weekly Stadia podcast, where myself and Richie round up all the Stadia and video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games, and up there in the digital clouds on your podcast preference of choice. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in and listened this week, everyone who's given the video a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. If you're listening along on Spotify and you've listened to a few shows, don't forget to give us a rating. You can actually give us a star rating, and we do love those nommy stars here at Sounds of Stadia. Richie, 5 if you please, ladies and gentlemen. If not, let us know in the comments below what we could do to improve our service, like maybe buy a new microphone with fancy flashy lights, or maybe put more guitars on the wall behind us. You tell us what you want us to do. But you know who we really listen to? That's our Helix Heroes, the amazing folks who support us that extra little bit further to help us bring you better quality content every single week. Over 50 of you do that, and we love you and appreciate you every single day. Richie, those members, those Helix Heroes, get our episode of CloudQuest up to 6 days early, almost 1 whole week. And this week we're going to go away for CloudQuest episode 76 and talk about a very pressing subject. Tell the folks what that subject is.
What we were...
How would you... Every single time. Ladies and gentlemen, this week on CloudQuest, we're going to discuss how Stadia is helping PlayStation evolve their own internal studios with Haven and, of course, Jade Raymond, previously of Stadia Games Entertainment. And when we go to recording, Richie might actually remember what the subject is. But until that time... I
always remember what we're talking about when we're talking about
that's good to know. That's good to know. That's how conversation works. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been Sounds of Stadia. You can find all of our socials on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, not even TikTok, MySpace maybe, at Helix Cloud Games. You can find me on Twitter at CyberChris2077. You can find Richie at...
I can't remember.
You can't remember. At you can.
Richie C8.
You, capital U, can't with a 4 for the A. Like fast, like the riser shifter, of course. And get out there and enjoy them free trials. But remember, whatever you do, play wherever makes you the happiest. We've been Sounds of Stadia for Helix Cloud Games. Have a great week, everyone. Take care. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.